Welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to properly put your platens on your press. You do not do it off press, you do it on press. That way everything is square with each other, all your boards are square, and hopefully you get them all level. First you're going to need a screen. You're going to draw a line down the middle of it. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are centered with your arm. And you may need to go and check all your gates. Make sure your gates are perfect. It really doesn't matter in the sense because you need to number your arm. This is a number 2, and so I number my boards. This is number 2 because if I put 2 on number 3, it may not match. It may not be completely centered. So it's best to number them and keep them on the same arm. So you have your center line, and this is centered with this one. So my boards, I want to know where it fits, so I know where to put that bracket. I make sure I got enough clearance from my head. And then I'm going to go around to every one of these brackets, and I'm going to mark so they're all in the same position. Even if you have your normal brackets, you want to make sure you do exactly the same thing. Where do you want that bracket to be on that board? You're going to mark that position. You're going to do the same thing. You're just going to mark. Nothing's different. You're going to mark it so you know all your brackets are in the same spot. You're going to take your boards, you're going to put a center line on all your boards. Put it in position. You know where you want it. And you're going to mark your board, where your board goes. So I know every board is going to be about the same. And so we'll start with this one first. So a little trick that I've learned is these little O-rings. These little O-rings, what they do is when you put them in your bracket, when you put it in there, if your screw ever comes loose, that's going to keep your bracket from moving around. So that's a little trick that I've been using for years. And it works with my size brackets and the bolts. But also for this, it helps to hold that screw in place. So I'm only going to put 2 screws in. I'm going to make sure my board is square. It's right where I want it. So this one is centered. Still looks good. So this drill has a stop on it. So I'm not over tightening it. So those 2 are in. Then you just move on to the next one. You do exactly the same thing. Then you'll take them off press to put the rest of the screws in. I'll do one more real quick. I only opened up 1 kit, but I'm only doing 2. Holds it in place. And this way, all your boards will be perfect to each other. The O-rings I've not had one go up into the wood, so it's never been an issue. They're centered. So that you do all 4 of them, you do exactly the same. And so we'll just fast forward to the next one. And I only put the O-ring in 2 of them. I don't do it in all of them for my setup, but if you got a bracket, you're going to want them in all 4 holes. You see, I have this mark, so all my boards are exactly the same position. The bracket's the same position, the board's the same position. And then you're centered with your arm, because when you feel under here, you'll have the same distance. For me, this plate, you'll have exactly the same distance, so you know you're centering your board correctly. So these 3 are on. So then what I do, number 3, is I finish them out. You can use the O-rings or not use O-rings on this one. This board is basically done. Alright, so that one, I'm going to show you that one. You hear that it didn't do the ratcheting. In that situation, you have dowel rods that fit that hole. And you just drop them. So that one goes back on the press. Make sure you're lining back up. And you're good. Same thing, there's all of them. And then we're going to come back and make sure they're all square. Up my marks. Perfect. So those two are perfect. This last one. You see, I don't use all the O-rings. All right, so all these done. Pretty quick setup. And you'll notice all the boards on this are going to be square to each other. So perfectly centered with each other. I just love how these little rings hold those in place. Makes it super easy. Still good. All right. And you see the outline of my boards, you know, they're even from both sides basically, and the top has got a good gap distance. All right. We have all four of these complete. Now the difference you're going to have between this, a bracket, and the I say the aluminum ones that are double stick tape is, so my number 2 is my primary. It's what I started setting up on. And my off contact, not too bad. The front's a little lower than the back. And this one, I'm a little higher on this side. This side's a little lower. This side's a little higher. It's a little lower. Not too bad. Similar to that one. Same way. So these three are pretty well the same. I'm going to adjust this one to be level. I'm not worried about being centered anymore. Now they're all centered. What I'm looking for now is I want to make sure that I am good with these. These are good. That's a little high. So this side needs to come up on this one. That's number 1. And number 2, what we'll start off with, it's this side needs to come up. So what I do in this situation, usually if you have a bracket, what most shops do is you have old business cards. So old business cards you will put on your bracket and you will shim them underneath here to bring in the gap, to bring that height on the one side or the front or back, like old credit cards, or you twist them with that. So on the Bison Platens, I'm able to I'm basically going to shim these with some old washers, and I also have some thinner washers. I'll find out where I put them, but I think these will work. Maybe a thin one. They're relatively the same. I have some shim washers somewhere, but I'm just going to come underneath here. I'm going to shim it. It should raise that side up. And so press, I want to see what that did. I'm perfect. So this was that fixed on that. And so number one, I believe, was high on this side. So I got to do this side. Do exactly the same thing. So shimming these, it's a permanent fix. Long as this platen stays, long as it stays on that arm. If I put on a different arm, it's going to be a little different. So I am shimming this one currently. Slide down. Tighten it down. Where am I? I'm pretty good on this one. Now this one, I can also tell you that the back is a, see my gate, it's a little low. There are the other ones. That's good. That is good. Perfect. That's good. There you have it. So these are all level. They're square to each other. They're level. These are good to go. This is like number 4. You know, they're all numbered. And say next, I'm putting my youth on. So the center line's off a bit. Let's just quickly do the manual side instead of just using the reg. Wasn't off that much whenever I did that adjustment. All right, so these are now at 11. So we're going to use this. So I know that this is my level position. And the youth, the reason why I do the youth ones the same way is because I switch off. If I'm doing a fashion shirt, and you'll do exactly the same thing, you don't want to know where you get your center at. So for this one, I want to have them right there. I'm going to take my Sharpie. And so I know I want all to that point. And this one is also going to be my number 1. Now my board, I put near the top here. So I know what position, same position as the other ones. And so the point of this is, if you're switching out between youth and adult, it's a swap. There's no, you don't have to mess with your press. We're good there. You'll repeat the same process for all 4. Then you're going to have 2 sets that are perfectly lined to each other. You have youth sets, so when you swap them out, there's minimal adjustment, and you're level all the time. So I'm always doing fashion shirts and adult shirts in this format. So I'm going to finish these out and have a complete set. And so this one was my number 1, which I believe had a difference. I'm a little bit high on this side, not too much. Let's see what these shims do. Just a little bit off. That's good. That's perfect. So that one's good. So I just have to move to the next one. This is the next one I'll do, and I'll repeat the process, and I'll have 2 full sets, a youth set and adult set, perfectly level to each other and perfectly centered to each other. But yeah, I just want to show you, this is how you set up your platens. You don't do it off press, you do it on press. And with your press, because not every press is perfect. Thanks for watching, and check out my next videos.